Not looking forward to this one bit. It's cold, it's dark, and it's going to be painful. It's the second Stryd power test that I need to do, so a 3-minute and a 9-minute flat out interval. It's currently -2 outside, and because I have to do this early in the morning before work, it's currently dark, but it will be getting light as I go along, so I will take the phone with me and try and film some of the test, not the actual running pieces, but on the recovery, so you can see the state and how deep I need to dig. But I'm not looking forward to this one bit, so gonna have a mountain fuel, morning fuel to start the day, and a coffee, and then just stop putting it off any longer and get on with it. So I'll see you out there.
Three-minute interval done. Not sure of the stats yet. I quickly flicked screens to look at heart rate after I finished. I think it was 186. Last time I did this, I maxed out at 194. So maybe I wasn't pushing quite as hard as last time. Interesting to see how the speed and power compares. 2 kilos lighter. 2 kilos lighter than last time I did that, so that's about 4.5 pounds, which will have an impact on power output. But yeah, 5-minute walk, 10-minute easy jog, 5-minute walk, 5-minute easy jog, 5-minute walk, 9-minute. So 3 minutes felt quite easy, relatively speaking. Oh, that's a 9-minute interval done. That was not pleasant. So, rather than looking at me, let's go to a more relaxed, less sweaty and snotty version of myself, sat on my couch to look at the data.
So it's been a few days since I did the 3 and the 9-minute interval test, and I've managed to crunch the numbers and compare that to what I did right at the very start of this 10k training plan to see if there's been any difference. Now, as I mentioned in some of the previous videos, I did think that maybe my power might drop based on the fact that in all of my subsequent runs from the initial test, I wasn't able to get into the training zones that I'm supposed to be and produce the power based on the speed that I was running at the time. And overall, in both the 3-minute and the 9-minute interval, my power did drop for both from the first test to the second test. I think the reason for that is probably down to a number of factors. One being that I was about 2 kilos lighter, so 4.5 pounds, give or take, lighter than when I did the first test, which does impact the power output. So I think that was one of the key reasons. Also, another potential reason for it was when I did that initial test, I had done the Cumbria Way ultramarathon and then had nearly 2 weeks off completely, did a couple of warm-up runs, very easy, and then went straight into that test. So I was on very well rested legs, whereas coming off the back of basically 3 weeks of training, I had a couple of easier days, but I've been doing a bit of cycling, a bit of swimming as well. So when I did the second test, especially in the 9-minute interval, I really felt my legs were getting quite tired. So overall, my power output actually reduced between the first test and the second test, and my FTP, my functional threshold power, as a result also reduced. What that means going forward is I've updated my training zones and they've actually come down, obviously, as a result. So it means the intensity that I have to run at is slightly lower, the power output I have to run at is slightly lower when I'm doing the intervals going forward, which is probably a good thing because, as I mentioned, I wasn't able to get into those training zones. But on a very positive note, the speed that I produced in both the 3-minute and the 9-minute interval increased from the first test to the second test. And I was really happy to see that. The average heart rate reduced as well, so I was running faster for less heart rate, for a lower heart rate. And I think the reason the heart rate was lower was because my legs were really feeling it, so I wasn't able to push as hard due to muscular fatigue rather than cardiovascular. But running faster for a lower heart rate at lower power essentially means I'm running more efficiently, so there has been some positive signs there. So I am encouraged that I'm getting faster, not where I need to be if I want to get my target time of sub 37 minutes for the 10k, but there is signs of improvement, which, given that the initial building block, the 3 training weeks, was impacted by about 10 days due to having a cold and illness, that was pretty encouraging. I will then do further tests as the training progresses, and what I'm hoping that I'll see is that the speed will keep increasing, the heart rate will remain roughly the same, and hopefully we'll start seeing an increase in power output as well as I get a bit stronger and a bit more used to the shorter intervals. So overall, what does this mean for the training? Well, ultimately I'll be updating the training zones and running in new zones. They're not going to change massively, but hopefully it'll mean that when I'm trying to get into zones 5, 6 and 7, which is when I really struggled, I'll be able to get into those training zones now, but not have the heart rate up in zone 7, which is the maximum heart rate, because what I was finding was I was running flat out a lot of the time trying to get into those training power zones. So overall, I'm pretty happy with the results. I'm a bit mixed on whether I wanted to see the power increase or decrease, if I'm honest. If the power had gone up but the speed had gone down, I would have been concerned. The fact that the speed's gone up and the power's come down, I'm pretty happy with that, and I'm pleased to see that basically I'm running more efficiently for that power output, which is, as I say, encouraging, partly probably due to the fact that I am a couple of kilograms lighter. I hope you've enjoyed this video. In the next week we'll talk a little bit more about what the next build block's going to look like, so that will be the change from doing longer intervals to shorter intervals, and also I'll cover a bit about some of my key measures that I use to look at power data and how it differs from the heart rate data. Please make sure you subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on any future content, and please leave a comment down below and let me know what you'd like to see in future videos with the power side of things as well, if there's any areas you'd like me to focus on. I'll see you next time.